Praise the Lord, my beautiful blessed souls. Today is June 1st. Yay, we are 6 months into this in 2026 new year already. And June 1st, word of the day. As you can see, I did a thing again. Summertime hats, I can't with the hair. I usually just do it and let it grow back. We're going to see how this goes. Oh, this lash is acting up. But anyway. June 1st refreshment, all right, is summertime refreshing. Hope everyone is enjoying. But anyway, June 1st says, how can the promise of blessing help me when I am weary and or discouraged? Now we're going into Judges chapter 9. It's going to make a lot of sense because this actually goes with it. And I don't use these themes. They just, whatever day it is. So when you're tempted to give up, a new resolve can come from remembering what God promises to strengthen you and to bring a harvest of blessing in his perfect time. Nothing you do for God is ever wasted, and nothing you endure is useless. And sometimes we really need to hear that. Quite sure when we're going through some changes and life gets hard, because sometimes it get like that. We feel like it's, in vain or we're not seeing progress. So God promises us in his response, how we thank God who gives us glory over sin and death through Jesus Christ our Lord. So my dear brothers and sisters, be strong and steady, always enthusiastic about the Lord's work, for you know that nothing you do for the Lord is ever useless. Please remember that, because sometimes we feel like that. 1 Corinthians 15, 57 to 58. Now, Psalms 48, 5 through 7 says, happy are those who are strong in the Lord, who set their minds on a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. When they walk through the valley of weeping, it will become a place of refreshing springs, where pools of blessing collect after the rains. They will continue to grow stronger, and each of them will appear before God in Jerusalem. And in James 1:12 it said, God blesses the people who patiently endure testing. Now remember, because he says that he catches all of our tears, and he also says that he uses them for the next part of when it comes to the harvesting. So the rain, the tears are used in those seasons of drought, and us needing replenishment are used in our seasons of harvest. They actually used before as used in the seed time. That's how we sow. And sometimes we do sow in tears. Judges chapter 9, this whole thing is going to be a little lengthy. I'm going to promise you this. I didn't want it to be. I wasn't sure if I should read the whole chapter 9. I think I'm going to do the breakdown. I'm going to let you read it. It is quite lengthy, that's why. And I didn't want to miss anything, and I don't want to make two parts. I want to do it because they're playing music. And it seems like every time with the home at work that I'm trying to get words out, there's always a bunch going on. It may start out all right. We know what that is, and we're not going to let it stop us. It's not more distractions. But anyway, we're going to see how replenishment is going to tie into this word, because it's going to be a beautiful situation. We're going to see how it does. Now, what Judges 9, we're going to look at. This is Abimelech. Remember, that was the son that Gideon had with the concubine, the Canaanite. So we're going to see how he's going to, do whatever. So Abimelech was not like Gideon's other 70 sons, born to his many wives, as he ruled over Israel as their judge. Abimelech was born to Gideon's concubine, remember that, in the city of Shechem. Now, he craved to inherit his father's position of authority over Israel. Unfortunately, as a concubine's child, any of his brothers had more legitimate claim to Gideon's legacy. This is why we got to remember these things, even when we have in our own children, about legitimacy, who's going to be heirs, who's not. All of these things matter when we leave here. It also says Abimelech devises a way to overcome the obstacles. He visits his mother's family in Shechem to plead with the leaders of that city. Their position is that it will be better to answer to him than to be obedient to all of Gideon's other sons. So the leaders agreed. They gave Abimelech money to carry out his plot, meaning against that he will become their ruler when he does so. Abimelech uses the money to hire rough, immoral men. These paid goons help him slaughter his brothers. He killed his own brothers. Only the youngest Jotham escapes by hiding. Now, so there were 70 of them. Do you see this? And this is how serious this can get. We saw how in Joseph's siblings took him and tried to kill him and sold him off into slavery. It reminds me of us as African Americans being sold off by our own people. They helped sell us off into the Europeans. And so when we look at these stories and we understand, because God is showing us from the Bible our lineage and what happens. So Abimelech, the son of Jerubbaal, he went to Shechem, his mother's relative, and said to them, to the whole clan of his mother's family, say in the ears of the leader Shechem, which is better for you to that you serve 70 sons of Jerubbaal, meaning Gideon, rule over you than one rule over you. Remember also that I am your bone and your flesh. This is where the manipulation comes in, because this is where, a lot of stuff goes on. And his mother relative spoke these words on his behalf in the ears of the leaders of Shechem, and their hearts inclined to follow Abimelech. For they said, he is our brother. And they gave him the 70 pieces of silver out of the house of Baal Berith, which Amalek hired worthless and reckless fellows who followed him. And he went to his father's house in Ophrah and killed his brothers, the sons of Jerubbaal, 70 men on one stone. But Jotham, the youngest son, he was left, for he hid himself. And all the leaders of Shechem came together in all Beth Milo, and they went and made Abimelech king by the oak of the pillar at Shechem. So this is what happened. Now we're going to see that how he is going to get himself, because when you do stuff like this, remember, ill-gotten gains, we got to think about intentions and motives. See, God knows us, he knows our hearts. And so although we do things, is it with the right motives and the right intentions, or we have our own agendas? What is going on? So when it was told to Jotham, he went and stood on the top of Mount Gerizim, and he cried aloud and said to them, listen to me, you leaders of Shechem, that God may listen to you. The trees once went out to anoint the king over them. And they said to the olive tree, reign over us. But the olive tree said to them, shall I leave my abundance by which God's men are honored, and go hold sway over the trees? And the tree said to the fig tree, you come and reign over us. But the fig tree said to them, shall I leave my sweetness and my good fruit and go hold sway over the trees? And the tree said to the vine, you come and reign over us. But the vine said to them, shall I leave my wine and the cheers and go in God and men and go hold sway over these trees? Then all the trees said to the bramble, you come and reign over us. And the bramble said to the trees, if in good faith you are anointing me king over you, then come and take refuge in my shade. But if not, let fire come out of the bramble and devour the cedars of Lebanon. Now remember, folks will pay. They could sort of get you. They would do a plot scheme. They would get up with your enemies. They would devour you. Doesn't matter if you're their actual, no matter what the good they've done. Right? Remember, these are the same children of the same man whose families helped free them. And they had 40 years of, and this is how they do. So think about that. Abimelech king, and if you have dealt with the Jerubbaal and his house and have done to him and his deeds deserved. So, for my father fought for you and risked his life and delivered you from the hand of Midian. This is what he's telling them. And you have risen up against my father's house on this day and killed his son, 70 men on the stone, and have made Abimelech the son of his female servant king over the leaders of Shechem, because he is your relative. So this is why. So this is not, this is what happens. And we'll see these type of things because people are relatives and they think that it's okay. It is not. If you have acted in good faith and integrity with Jerubbaal and his house, because it's just about the agenda. And the day, this day, then rejoice in Abimelech, and let him go and rejoice for you. But if not, let fire come out of Abimelech and devour the leaders of Shechem and Beth Milo, and let the fire from out of the leaders of Shechem from Beth Milo devour Abimelech. Then Jotham ran away and fled and went to bed and lived there, because Abimelech is his brother. So he's the last one. Now remember, these type of things, this is like a curse or omen or prophecy, and he cursed, he word spoke it, so he word cursed them, basically. But because of what they did and the way they did it and how they did it, the manipulation, the lies, the cheating, the stealing, we're going to do it just because it's going to benefit us type of thing. This is what happens. And we will see how this will happen in your own life. Abimelech ruled over Israel for 3 years, and God sent an evil spirit between Abimelech and the leaders of Shechem. The leaders of Shechem dealt treacherously with Abimelech, that the violence done to the 70 sons of Jerubbaal might come, and their blood might be laid upon Abimelech. See, their brother who killed them and the men of Shechem, who strengthened his hand to kill the brothers, right? Because they had a part in it. They are hired gun. The leaders of Shechem put men in ambush against him on the mountaintops, and they robbed all who passed by them along the way, and it was told to Abimelech. So now when we look at these things, they thought by ill-gotten gains it was going to be something wonderful. You might get away, you might get by, but you don't get away. So Angal, the son of Ebed, moved to Shechem with his relatives, and the leaders of Shechem put confidence in him, and they went out into the field and gathered the grapes from the vineyards and tried them and held a festival. And they went into the house of their God, ate and drank, and reviled Abimelech. And Gal, the son of Ebed, said, who is Abimelech, and who are the Shechem that we should serve him? Is he not the son of Jerubbaal? and meaning Gideon, and is not Zebul his officer? Serve the men of Habor, the father of Shechem, but why should we serve him? Would that people be under my hand? Then I will remove Abimelech. Would I say to Abimelech, increase your army and come out? See, this is what happens. So now they're turning on each other, and God will allow that to happen. So when you plot and scheme against others, eventually it's going to turn. People say it's karma. It's not karma. It's called you reaping what you sow. And remember, God sent the Spirit. We're going to see all of these things. Now, when Zebul, the ruler of the city, heard the words of Gal, the son of Ebed, his anger was kindled. And he sent messengers to Abimelech, secretly saying, behold, Gal, the son of Ebed, and his relatives have come to Shechem, and they are stirring up the city against you. Isn't this exactly what he did? Now, therefore, go by night, and you and the people who are with you, and set the ambush in the field. This is what happens. So now they all ganged up on these other people, killed them, and then they thought they was going to get away with it. Now their stuff is falling apart, because now they themselves are going back and forth with each other now about the same situation that they did to others. Then in the morning, as soon as the sun, because there's no one amongst these. Then in the morning, as soon as the sun rose up early in a rush upon the city, and when the hand of the people who are with him come out against you, you may do to them as your hand finds to do. So Abimelech and all the men who were with him rose up by night and set an ambush against Shechem, the same people he was with, in 4 companies. And Gal, the son of Ebed, went out and stood in the entrance of the gate of the city, and Abimelech and the people who are with him rose from the ambush. And when Gal saw the people, he said to Zebul, look, people are coming down from the mountaintops. And Zebul said to him, you mistake shadows in the mount for men. Gal spoke again and said, look, people are coming down from the sense of the land. And one company is coming from the direction of the diviner's oak. Think about that, because that is manipulation. That says a lot. They got a lot of this enchantment. This is witchcraft and sorcery also. So this is why serving them other gods. They think when they do these things, these hexes, these spells, they think when they do these wicked things, schemes and plots, manipulation, it's going to come back. Then Zebul said to him, where is your mouth now? You who said, who is Abimelech, that we should serve him? Are these not the people whom you despise? Go out now and fight them. And Gal went out and head of the leaders of Shechem and fought with Abimelech. And Abimelech chased him, and he fled before him and fell wounded upon the entrance of the gate. And Abimelech lived at Arumah. And Zebul drove out Gal and his relatives so that they could not dwell at Shechem. Now on the following day, the people went out into the field, and Abimelech was told. He took his people and divided them into 3 companies and set an ambush in the fields. And he looked and saw the people coming out of the city. So he rose against them and he killed them. Abimelech and the company that was with him rushed forward and stood at the entrance of the gate of the city, while the 2 companies rushed upon all who were in the field and killed them. And Abimelech fought against the city all that day. He captured that city and killed all the people who were in it. And he razed the city and sold it with salt. I gotta look at that. When all the leaders of the town of Shechem heard of it, they entered the stronghold. Remember what the stronghold holding of the house of El Berith. Abimelech was told that all the leaders of the tower of Shechem were gathered together there. And Abimelech went unto the top of Zalman, and he and all the people who were there with him. And Abimelech took an axe in his hand and cut down a bundle of brushwood and took it up and laid it on his shoulder. And he said to the men who were with him, what you have seen me do, you also do, hurry and do as I've done. So every one of the people cut down his bundle and following Abimelech, put it against the stronghold. And they set the stronghold on fire over them. So that all the people of the tower of Shechem also died, about 1,000 men and women. So that was all who were in there. So now then Abimelech went to Thebez and encamped against Thebez and captured it. But there was a strong tower within the city. And all the men and women and all the leaders of the city fled to it and shut themselves in again. And then they went up to the roof of the tower. And Abimelech came to the tower and fought against it and drew near to the door of the tower to burn it with fire. And a certain woman threw up an upper millstone on Abimelech's head and crushed his skull. Then he called quickly to the young man, his armor bearer, and said to him, draw your sword and kill me, lest they say of me, a woman kills him. And this young man thrust him through, and he died. And when the men of Israel saw that Abimelech was dead, everyone departed to his home. Thus God returned the evil of Abimelech, which he committed against his father, his own father, is killing his own brothers. And God also made all the evil of the men of Shechem return on their heads, and upon them came the curse of Jotham, the son of Jerubbaal, which is Gideon. So remember what he spoke. So now We're going to get into it. Abimelech devises a way to overcome them obstacles. He convinces the people, his parents. So the leaders of Shechem and the people of the region, they gather at the official town pillar to make Abimelech their king. Jotham, the survivor of Abimelech's massacre, his brother, learns of the coronation and interrupts it by calling down those assembled from the top of Mount Gerizim. From this vantage point, he can be heard without being immediately captured. So he was speaking from a distance. So Jotham delivers a fable that turns, this is the prophetic, into a prophetic curse on both Abimelech and the leaders. This is why we got to be careful what we say. Speak of ourselves and others, and we got to watch what they say and what we accept. In this story, the trees look for a king. This is an offer that is rejected by the olive tree, the fig tree, and the grapevine. All of these are valuable, productive plants. They have no need or desire to seek power over others. So the trees settle for something inferior, a bramble. This refers to a thin, thorny shrub. At the time, these were nuisances at best, and fire hazards at worst. So the bramble agrees to rule, but only if the trees genuinely want it as king. If they're being insincere, the fire will come out and devour the trees. So when we look at this, this is letting us set the scene. And I wanted to look at those. What is it? The olive tree, fig tree, grapevine. What is it? Bramble? Hold on. Bramble. Okay, so now this parable points out that Abimelech is worthless and dangerous. He's only a power hungry because he has nothing else to offer. The story also sets up a prophetic curse. Jotham concludes by saying that Shechem's leaders did not act in good faith toward Gideon, nor are they choosing Abimelech for his merits, since they are acting in bad faith, meaning there was no reason for this. There was no mischief, done amongst the children for them to be killed and all this to happen. And Shechem and the leaders will devour each other with fire. And this is what he said. Now, when people are out here minding their business and not bothering nobody, and folks just like to do what they want to do, this is where they have issues and problems at. This is why. Abimelech becomes king over Shechem, but the Bible doesn't say that he was Israel's king. Remember that. Rather, the terminology used here simply indicates that he had power or rule or influence, but he wasn't. His command over Shechem only lasts 3 years. God sends an evil spirit between Abimelech and Shechem's leaders. This is the funny part. Now, when this happens, because remember, we're going to get into this, God will allow things to happen, I would say. Why? Because if evil is always lingering about you and he's covering you and protecting you, then guess what? The moment you act up, he'll let it happen. So this might refer to a literal demon. However, the same phrasing is also used to imply disagreement and anger, right? Whether by which supernatural instigator or simple rivalry, God will work to hold both sides accountable for the murder of Gideon's sons. This begins with Shechem's leaders hiring men to ambush Abimelech. Right, this might imply an assassination attempt, but it more likely means disruption of local trade as well. When that failed, Shechem's noblemen put their confidence in a man named Gal. This man's name carries ironic symbolism. Abimelech's name means the king is my father. But Jotham made a point by saying Abimelech was the son of a concubine servant. So the name Gal ben Ebed literally means loathing the son of a servant. This is the puppet Shechem's leaders chose, right? And what is likely an alcohol-induced arrogance. Gal swears he would remove Abimelech from the throne by force if he were in charge. So this is them plotting against him and he didn't even know it. See how they go? Plot against one person, they got that down pack, and when they get finished, guess what? The plot gonna be next on them. Just sit back and watch it all unfold. Zebul is Abimelech's officer in Shechem. He remains loyal and sends messages to warn Abimelech of the plot. So Zebul's suggestion is to ambush the city by hiding in the fields outside the gate overnight. So Shechem's eastern gate faces the rising sun and a field surrounded by hills in the morning. So Zebulun maneuvers Gal to be at the gate. When the attack comes, Gal struggles to recognize the approaching enemy thanks to the long shadows. Using the surprise, Abimelech and his men attack the city and chase Gal and the plotters away. Now, Abimelech is not content with this outcome. So the next day, he and his men kill all the people of the city who came out to work in the fields. Next, they attack the city and slaughter everyone in the lower parts of the town. Then, in an act of brutal cruelty, they burned the stronghold of Shechem with the remaining survivors inside. So all of this was just like, come on now. But this is their own doing. Remember, this is what happens. For reasons not made clear, Abimelech and his fighters then move on the town of Thebes. Once again, they trap the city's population in their stronghold. This time, however, the stronghold is a tall tower. So when Abimelech foolishly gets too close, a woman drops an upper millstone upon him. And this is their wheel-shaped rocks weighing about 25 pounds or 11 kilograms. The impact crushes Abimelech's skull. He's still alive, obviously. So he commands his armor bearer to quickly kill him so that it can't be said that he was killed by a woman. This is great. This is futile since future generations will recall exactly how and why, which, they try to change it. And Abimelech died. So Abimelech's followers show no passion for the mission. As soon as he is dead, they immediately stop fighting and go home. So then what was the point? See how people can instigate, get you to do stuff, and then with the death of Abimelech and the destruction of Shechem and its leaders, God fulfills the curse of Jotham. This brings measures of justice to the sad ending of Gideon's story. So now we are going to take a look at this and we're going to break this down because there was so much going on in there. And it was like, so the apostasy of Israel after the death of Gideon is punished. It's not as the former apostasies by a foreign nation, right, or invasion, or the oppressions of any neighboring power by their own intestine brawls among themselves, right, within the household. Remember, your enemies will be what? Of your own household. Which in this chapter we have the story. And it is hard to say whether their sin or their misery appears most in it. It is an account of the usurpation and tyranny of Abimelech, who was base son to Gideon, so we must call him, and not more modestly his natural son. He was so unlike him. We are here, we told how we thrust himself into the government at Shechem, his own city, by subtly and cruelly, particularly by the murder of all of his brethren. Because that would be the only way he would get it. How his doom was read in the parable by Jotham, right, Gideon's youngest son. What strifes there were between Abimelech and his friends and the Shechemites. And then how this ended in the ruin of the Shechemites and Abimelech himself. Of this meteor, this ignis fatuus, a prince that was not a protector but a plague to his country. We may say, as once was said of a great tyrant, that he came in like a fox, ruled like a lion, and died like a dog for the transgressions of a land. Such are the princes thereof. So this is really something. Now we're going to get into it. We want to break it down because it says a lot. It means a lot. And we want to see what, when, where, why, and how, because this was a lot. Okay. And I'm sorry because this video may be a little bit long, but I want to get into all what went on. So now, Abimelech's rise and fall. Grounded, we will see the core narrative and themes of the continuation. Okay. So now, Judges 9 tell the story of Abimelech. He's the son of Gideon. That was in the last chapter. Remember, Jerubbaal is the name that God changed his name to, who seizes power through the murder, manipulation, and ambition. He becomes a king and is untimely destroyed by the very people who empowered him. This is how the irony of it is. Abimelech's rise to power. So when we think about folks on witchcraft, voodoo, all these other things, even in this world today, when you do evil, God sees it all. Especially when you're doing stuff to people who didn't even do nothing to you. This makes it even worse. Okay? Because evil for evil, but still it's evil. But when folks ain't did nothing to you, you just doing this just to be doing it for your own, this is the problem. And a lot of folks do this. This is where a lot of stuff come in at. Because there's no reason behind it. Meaning there was nothing done to you to provoke you to do something. So why would you be doing all this? Okay, so Abimelech's rise to power. He appeals to his mother's relatives in Shechem. Abimelech convinces him that it is better that he be the one ruler himself than Gideon's 70 sons. So this is why he had to kill him, because he wouldn't have been able to do it. One, he is the bastard child, meaning he's the outside child. He's not the child of the bloodline. Why? Because he's from the Canaanites. And this is why his father messed up there too. This is why all of this happened, because we, doing all this extra with all these wives and concubines and children, this becomes a problem. Why? Because they become jealous of each other and do all this extra. This is why. He receives money from the temple of Baal-Berith. They give him 70 pieces of silver, which he uses to hire worthless and reckless men to do what? To murder, steal, kill, and destroy. He murders his brothers. Abimelech kills 70 of Gideon's sons. on one stone, eliminating his rivals. Only Jotham, the youngest son, escapes. Shechem crowns him king. The leaders of Shechem, Beth Milo, make him king at the pillar in Shechem. So now Jotham's parable of the three verses, which is Jotham stands on Mount Gerizim and delivers a prophetic parable. The trees seek a king, an olive, a fig, and a vine, or refuse because they already produce good fruit. So there's no reason for it. You want to put a king? No. Why would you need a king? And then remember, he wasn't over Israel because remember, God was over Israel, and this is what he kept telling them. He wasn't going to let nobody else be over them. So that's why the worshiping of these other gods, making them your God, was a problem. So the thorn bush bramble accepts kingship and threatens destruction. This symbols Abimelech and a destructive, unworthy ruler. Jotham warned Shechem, if they acted unjustly in making Abimelech king, fire will come between them. Meaning, and guess what? God sends division. And when we see that God is sending division, he done seen people, places, and things, and what they done said and did about you, and this is where it comes in at. And this is why. So after Abimelech rules for 3 years, God sends an evil spirit between them. And their alliances collapse. So now 1 minute they were all against the children of God. Now they're against each other. Ooh, ain't that something, honey? Don't just sit back. Tell folks, just eliminate yourself from the situation. Sit back. Since you be the problem, you eliminate yourself and watch them be the problem and have more problems and still have problems with each other. Okay? And you won't even have nothing to do with it. And that's going to end the end of that. You'll see who the real problem was when you eliminate yourself. Because if they still got the same old problems and they still dealing with, and you gone. So then who was really the problem? Oh, y'all arguing amongst yourselves now? Anybody to blame, right? So God sends a vision. The revolt of Shechem. Gal, son of Ebed, challenges Abimelech. He stirs up rebellion in Shechem. Zebul, the city ruler, warns Abimelech. He ambushes Gal and defeats him. Abimelech destroys Shechem. Abimelech attacks the city, kills the people, and sows the city with salt. I wanted to find out what that meant. Hold on, sows the city with salt. I'm going to look that up later. Burns the tower of Shechem, killing about 1,000 people inside. This is the fire Jotham prophesied. Remember that. Right. Abimelech's death. He attacks Thebez. The people flee to stronger towers. Now, why did he do that? A woman drops a millstone on his head. Why did he attack Thebez? I'm going to find that out. Because what was... The woman, she drops it. It crushes his skull. He orders his armor bearer to kill him so people won't say a woman kills him. I'm trying to figure that out, but I guess that's the worst thing for them. God repays his wickedness. The chapter ends stating clearly that God repaid Abimelech for murdering his brothers. God said Shechem for supporting him. Repaid Shechem. So Shechem helped him do it. So they all got their just deserts. God made sure of it. That's why we sit back and let God do his work. Because, honey, we go live our lives. And when it comes to that revenge thing, folks think they got over. They did you so dirty. You may hurt and cry and go through some things. But, baby, you just hold on a minute and you watch. Sit back, get you some tea. Because in a minute, them tables going to turn. Major themes of Judges 9. Ambition without God leads to destruction. This is the problem. You can have ambition and all of that, but this is the issue. Abimelech's rise is rooted in self-promotion, manipulation, and violence. This is what it always is, that pride and that ego. Betrayal brings just judgment. He betrays his brother. Shechem betrays Gideon's house. Both are judged. Why? They could have did whatever together. This is the problem. Choose. Everybody want to be competition, better have power. This is the problem. Choosing leaders for the wrong reasons. Exactly. Shechem chooses Abimelech because he is our brother, not because he is righteous, not because he does the right thing. No, he's our brother. And this is what happens in a lot of our families because relatives tend to be, they just so one. No, you are a relative, you are family, yes. But when you are in the wrong, I am sorry, but you are in the wrong. And I don't care if you are my mother, my sister, my brother, my cousin. When you are in the wrong, you are just in the wrong. And we're not going to keep sweeping this stuff under the rug. The power of one prophetic voice. Jotham's parable becomes an interpretive key for the entire chapter, right? He predicts it. God's justice is inevitable. Even when the evil seems successful, God brings justice in his timing. Refreshment. What we was reading. Why? Because when you're tired and weary and you see a whole bunch of stuff, you don't feel like nothing's working. When folks get their just desserts, that's very refreshing. Just to say, and that's not to say that, but it is what it is. Next step, choose your depth. Now that you have the source narrative, tell me which one. Oh, no. I didn't want to see that. Hold on. No. Okay, gotta go down. Okay. Hold on. Okay, so Abimelech, the false son, and also the false king. He wanted to be king, but by right, he wasn't. He was trying to be, the counterfeit. Abimelech, my father, is king, which shouldn't have been given his name, but Gideon refused kingship. He did, and that was a part that when I thought about the parable. So Abimelech's name is a lie. It is a wound and a prophecy of rebellion. But they gave it to him. So lineage is the meaning of it. He is the embodiment of Gideon's unhealed trauma. He is the fruit of the ephod, the idolatry, right? He is the son of a concubine, not the covenant wife. Identity wound. Exactly. He murders his 70 brothers. This is what happens when you have children outside and you do all of this stuff and it come back to bite you in the butt. Spiritual archetype. The illegitimate ruler, the narcissistic son, the leader born from trauma, not calling, the bramble king. He is the thorn bush. This is what this is about. So when we look at these things, hey. Now, the equivalents of these are leaders who rise through manipulation and not through merit. A person who weaponizes identity wounds, and a community figure who destroys others to gain power. And a lot of them do it. They will turn the other cheek, turn the other head for a few dollars, sweep it under the rug. This is in our places of business. This is in our family. This is wherever we see these things going on. Now, Jotham, the last surviving son, his name meaning Jotham, Yahweh is perfect, Yahweh is complete. Lineage meaning the only surviving son of Gideon, the prophetic voice, the lineage witness, the one who speaks truth from Mount Gerizim, the mountain of blessing. That's what that, don't that tell you something? Spiritual archetype, the prophetic remnant, the survivor who sees clearly, the voice of warning. Now, the equivalent of this is the one child in the family who sees the dysfunction and speaks the truth. The whistleblower, the prophetic youth. This is what this is. Usually they are the black sheep. Usually they are the loners. Usually they are the ones that everybody seems to hate, can't stand, lie on, do all kind of crap to. This be the problem. Now, the bramble, the false leader. Jotham's parable reveals the spiritual truth. The olive tree equals anointed leadership. The fig tree equals sweet leadership. The vine equals joyful leadership. The bramble equals Abimelech. Wow. So when healthy leaders refuse to lead, the bramble rises. The bramble offers shade it cannot give. The bramble threatens with fire. So they're not able to lead. They don't have the power. They don't have the actual authority, the know-how, and this is the problem. This is a false covering. This is a false authority. Leadership is rooted in insecurity. A person who burns everything that they touch, meaning they don't care about nobody. They just selfish. They want it. They don't want to help. They don't want to rule. They don't know how to maintain, share. This is the problem, and produce and move others to move forward. Equivalent, a leader who destroys the community they claim to protect. This just like in a relationship. When a man is telling a woman he gonna protect her, he love her, and then go cheat on her. Now, how are you the main person I need protected from? You gonna beat me down, beat me up, but you here to protect me and you love me? Nah, that don't even sound right. This be the problem. So a person who rises because healthy leaders step back. Exactly. And this is what happens. So the women step up and do what they got to do because a lot of men don't. And it's not to say I'm just using that as, it could be in different ways. Shechem, the community that empowers evil. Shechem, shoulder, burden bearer. Now, we look at these entertainers. We look at the politics. We look at all of these folks that, so-called are black or this or that, and they supposed to help, and they do nothing but talk and line their pockets. This is like that. You're not really doing nothing. A community that chooses leadership based on familiarity, not righteousness, charisma, all that things. They empower Abimelech because he is our brother. They fund his violence. They later betray him, and they are destroyed by the fire that they help ignite. Exactly. And this is what happens, repeated cycles, and this is why you don't get anywhere. Because if the ones who have it aren't using it properly, then what purpose does it serve? This is what we see. Spiritual archetype, the compromised community, the people who choose comfort over covenant. The crowd that crowns the wrong king. They want to boo this one just like they did with Jesus. They sent him to the cross and they let the other one, the action, and this is what we do. We will love the ones who hate us and hate the ones who love us. And this is what we do. The ones who are good, this is what we do. Beth Milo, the power structure, meaning Beth Milo, house of rampart. Fortified house. Lineage meaning represents the elite, right? The power brokers. The city council, they fund Abimelech. They later turn against him. They are burned in the tower. Why? Because they all participated. They all had a hand in it. They helped, aided, and abetted. Now, when we look at all of this stuff that's going on, even right now, when they talk about Jeffrey Epstein, they talk about all of these older Diddy, what about all these people who've been aiding and helping all these years? They did it with R. Kelly. They did it with Diddy. They did it with Bill Cosby. But what about all the people, the limo drivers of this one and that one, all the people who hit it, who maintained it, who kept it going? I mean, Donald Trump himself. I don't even know how he became president the first time, how he's president now with all he's had going on. We have to look, and then don't pretend when he's doing all this so-called godly crap. Him, Elon Musk, all of them. They all were part of that Jeffrey Epstein stuff. And we sit here and we pretend and we act like, oh, he's for us and they're for us, and they are not. You got the Democrats that was in with the trafficking, the sex trafficking of the kids and stuff. And, when it comes to the sending the drugs and killing the people over there for no reason and taking the water from us and the food and spreading the drugs and taking the jobs and all this evil wickedness that because they are involved, because they don't care, turn a blind eye, even the churches. Why? Because they get paid. There's a agenda for them to turn the other way so they can have their money and their fame, and as long as they don't say nothing and do nothing, this is the problem. They are a part of the problem. And even these movie directors and those other people, songwriters and singers, honey, they even got they say it's a Christian Illuminati, and I believe it, because they say when it comes to the music, they all got to go through the same people, so what's the difference? Spiritual archetype, the political machine, the institutional enablers. This is what that says. The equivalent to this is the political class, the wealthy donors, the institutions behind the destructive leaders, right? Because the poor people can't do this. So you got police, you got all these people involved. Okay, you got the techies, you got the, whoever, whatever. Why? Because you can't just do certain stuff without everybody being involved. If you're stealing from a company, listen, folks got to be involved, because somebody eventually gonna know something. And if they know something and they don't say nothing, it's because they in on it. And if you report it, you'll be the one to have a problem. You'll be the one they want to get rid of. This is what this is about. So when we look at these things, we must pay attention to what's going on wherever we are. Our jobs, our families, our spouses, our companies, if we have them ourselves, business partners, whatever. Why? Because as we can see, when folks make alliances with you and they make alliances with other people, this is what happens. When folks can turn on you because of opportunity or not, if they're not gaining, because true people will stick with you whether they're going to get anything out of it or not. True people will be there for you whether they get anything out of it or not. They will help you. They will aid. This is what this is about. So, I mean, we got to think about that. And I tell people all the time, if I ever been a part of anybody's life, I never asked them to pay me to do nothing. If you gave me anything, that was because you wanted to. If I'm going to help you and I'm going to do something, it's because bottom of my heart, this is what I want. If I see you trying to do something, build and help, I'm going to try to help you. If I can, in any way that I can. I'm not rich. I don't have it like that. But okay, if I can help you in age, you're cool. But when you don't get it reciprocated, this is what makes people stop. You don't want to be bothered no more. And this is what it is. And usually this is how it goes when it comes to people supporting and helping and being on the opposite side. And we were just talking about this the other day. So Baal Berith, we're going to talk about this covenant with an idol, Lord of the covenant. That's what that meant. Baal Berith. Remember, Baal is in there. So Israel makes a covenant with an idol. This is the spiritual root of Abimelech's rise. Exactly. The money used to hire killers come from this temple. Meaning this is the same stuff. The same evil wickedness. But Israel is not, and Gideon is not all the way, because he had a hand. He didn't do all right either. This is why his lineage was tainted. Spiritual archetype. Idolatrous alliances. Exactly. Community agreements and darkness. Generational covenants that empower destruction. Exactly. Equivalent systems built on and corrupting funding. Communities tied to destructive economic structures. And this is what we see. When we look at the churches and stuff and they're supposed to help do stuff, they don't. When we look at all of these power players and whether they're involved with what's going on in politics, and you can see who and what and what's going on. It's just as simple as that. Why? Because they will put their agendas right in front of you. They will let you know. You will be asleep about it, but you need to be opening your eyes up to see, because a Democrat nor a Republican don't care nothing about you. They all work together, which is against you. Okay? I don't care who, what, when, where, how they are involved. If they're getting some type of wealth, power, vanity, money, influence, They had to eventually cross over some type of something to step on the dark side in order to do that. Why? Because you're not going to make it a last or none of that. Folks can sing, they can do all of this better than these people on TV, and they don't make it. And that is the reason why. Why? Because they are not willing to sell their souls, give up their... Why? Because this is a part of it. This is what you have to do. So, and you have to renounce God, the real one true God, and go over with Satan in order to do it. Now, the evil spirit, divine judgment. What happens? God sends an evil spirit between Abimelech and Shechem. Their alliances collapse. Why? Because he did that purposely. This is the judgment upon them. Lineage meaning when the community empowers evil, God lets the evil turn on itself. Exactly. The curse becomes internal. The destroyer destroys the destroyer. Right. So this is what happens. And this is why we see, although folks like to destroy us and do this, especially when it comes to black people, every time they do something and they think they're going to kill us off and do this, they end up messing their own selves up. They want to flood us with crack and fentanyl, and then it ends up in with their children and on their side of town, and their people dying of it as well. So it's just like you can't do one without the other. You're only as strong as your weakest link. You're not either going to work together or against each other. It just is what it is. The equivalent, when... what did it say? Okay, when corrupt alliances implode, when corrupt alliances implode, when gangs turn on each other, when political machines self-destruct. This is what this look like. Okay, the tower, which is the false security. The meaning of this is the people of Shechem and the Bez hide in the towers. They thought they were going to be safe, right? Just like they building all this stuff underground, thinking they're going to be safe, and moving out of the country, thinking it's just going to be an American thing. It's not. All this stuff is a world thing. It says it in the book of Revelation. You can move wherever you want to move. Don't think you're getting away from the wrath, because the wrath is coming. And when it comes, it's going to be the whole world. It's not just going to be America. Everybody, oh, America this, leave America. Baby, it's going to be everywhere. It ain't just going to be America. Babylon ain't just America, because all these countries is in with it in America, and they all do the same thing. Sex trafficking and all that other stuff. How you think? Drugs, the oil. Honey, they all work together and act like they don't. When it's beneficial for them, they are sleeping with the enemy and not with the enemy. This is what they do. We're not going to continue to be blind and stupid with these situations. This little gnat, I want to kill it. Anyway, okay. So now... okay, the woman with the millstone, unlikely deliverer. We're going to look at her. Okay, institutions that collapse under their own corruption, systems that cannot protect the people who trusted them. That's what that looks like. Now, the woman with the millstone. A woman drops a millstone on his head. She ends the false king's reign. God uses the unexpected, a nameless woman. She's not even, to end a generational curse. He will use whom he will. It's about women not being used, women not being empowered. No, that is the false doctrine. The feminine breaks the false masculine. Why? Because there's a lot of that going on. And we see the men walk around here in dresses and acting like women more than anything. And they claim they hate women and don't like them, but I don't get it. I don't understand it. But you want to walk around and be one and act like one? I don't get it. Where's the real men? Please stand up. I am so sick of this foolishness. You don't know if they want a man or woman. You don't know the reason they don't like one, because they want to be one. Spiritual architect, the hidden deliverer, the unexpected warrior, and the lineage restorer. Now, this is why these are issues and problems, because the men need to take their rightful place. You can't be getting bent over and being a woman. You're supposed to be a man. You're supposed to lead. This is what the problem is. These titles and roles have switched. You got these so-called fake wannabe men acting like women that telling women they ain't women and all this other foolishness. Just like you got all of these so-called whores, or you want to call them whatever you want to call them, women sleeping around, sleeping with other men, women, husbands, and she's the whore, Babylon, whatever you want to call them. The side chicks telling the wives they ain't nothing. No, this is the way of Satan, okay? Because anything that's the right way is never going to be the way. Why? Because the moment you're doing something the right way, you ain't going to have as much applause. And it talks about that. Why God lets us see this while we're going through our struggles as believers. When we're walking, so that we know and understand it ain't about the power, it ain't about the fame. Because one minute you'll have it, the next minute you won't. And the next minute you'll be dealing with these type of people who give it to you and then turn around and then crush you with it. They'll destroy you. So this is the equivalent with this. God uses this woman. He used the unexpected, the nameless woman, to break this generational curse. The spiritual archetype of this is the hidden deliverer, the unexpected warrior, the lineage restorer. This is the grandmother, the mother, the young woman who breaks the generational cycle, a woman who ends a destructive man's reign in a family or community. Hello, somebody. Because when they run around just chasing cat all their life and don't want to build and grow and have nothing, that's a problem. Then we see these older men by themselves and sick, or these older women, and there's no one there. They don't leave anything behind for the children. It's selfish, it's pride, it's ego, it's the idolatry of worshiping all these other things. It's all of this has everything to do with it, and the enemy loves it, and he wants this. Why? Because he don't want us to have family. He don't want us to have a relationship. He don't want to have nothing that God gave us to have here naturally to be a blessing to us. He wants to curse it. He wants to destroy it, and this is the problem. But we can only do it if he allow him to. Why? Because either we're going to continue with this, having sex outside of marriage and fornicating and not getting married and all that. We're going to continue with that and continue to pass it down, or we're going to start living our lives the right way, the way God intended and told us to be here and live the right way. That's it. The way that is going to be a blessing to us and not a cursing. And more than anything, not worshiping all these people, places, and things. Having a real, true relationship with Christ himself and asking him to help us. Although we have all these things going on, we done been here and done it, asking him to help us, to deliver us, to, heal, deliver, and restore us back to himself out of these wicked ways, these wicked thoughts, these wicked habits, patterns, and cycles. Why? Because we don't want to continue in them. We want to come out of them and have the cycles of blessings and not curses upon our life. Because as you can see, those were curses that they did, and then put curses upon them. So just pay attention, because when you out here trying to destroy people and then people ain't did nothing to you, and then you trying to deal with witchcraft and sorcery and the stuff come back and it tears you and all your family up, don't be mad at nobody but yourself, because you should have just let people alone. Go on ahead and do what you're doing. You want to starve people. These people want to starve us, want to do all of this and all of this wickedness. Okay. And they think they just gonna walk away and they gonna move out of the country and they gonna go up underground and they gonna hide. And that's not what's gonna happen. Judgment is coming. God saw everything you said and everything you did from the time you was born. And guess what? You can hide from me. You can lie from the law. You can be a part of the law and be in on it and hiding and lying to us. But understand something. You can't hide from God. He's seen and heard all of it. He knew who took the money, the bribe. He knew who set it up. He knew who did this. Everybody who lied, played a part in it, act through the glass and put the hand back, act like, honey, you see, he got all them folks. Everybody that had a hand in it was involved. They got when judgment time came, they got what they got, and they deserve to get it, and then some. Whatever he got, whatever he gave them. So the generational fallout was Gideon's mixture, Abimelech's murder, Shechem's destruction, national instability. This is a lineage chain reaction that took all of this down. Now we're going to look at it. The millstone, because I wanted to know what this meant. Multi-dimensional object in the entire book. The woman drops it on his head. What is prophetic lineage, correcting, gender reversing, justice executing, and spiritually surgically removing. Woo! Ain't that good? Below is a full breakdown. We're going to look at it. It means natural definition. Millstone is a heavily circular stone used to grind grain into flour. There are two types: upper millstone, handheld, which is smaller, and a lower millstone was stationary, which is larger. The woman dropped was the upper one. So it was heavy enough to crush a skull. You've heard people talk about dropping millstones. Now, Hebrew meaning, depending on the form, it carries meanings of grinding, crushing, breaking down, and reducing in power. This is important spiritually. So she killed him, so that broke all that. Symbolic meaning in scripture is judgment, grinding, divine judgment, reducing pride to dust. Justice. Millstones were used in legal metaphors. A millstone hung around the neck equals severe judgment. Grinding grain equals exposing what's inside. Grinding reveals, I think something similar. What is it? Grinding reveals inner substance of a thing. Okay, reversal. The tool of daily labor becomes a tool of divine justice. I don't know if this is sweats or what, but I know I'm sweating. I need to turn that thing on, but I can't right now. I can't turn it on because you're not going to be able to hear me good. Okay. Spiritual meaning in Judges 9. The millstone represents the crushing of illegitimate authority. Abimelech, false king. That's what he equaled. The millstone was divine correction. The end of a generational curse. Gideon's mixture. Abimelech's murder. The millstone ends the cycle. The feminine, overthrowing the false masculine. A nameless woman ends the reign of the violent man. The exposure of pride. Abimelech's head is crushed. The seat of ego, identity, pride, self-exaltation. God using the unexpected. Not a warrior, not a soldier, not a king. A woman with the household tool. Once again, Mental and emotional meaning. So God used them women to get them men right in order. And the generational curses and all. Why? Because she's the one to bring forth the life. So I guess that would make sense too. She helps bring forth the life. She's not, the man with the seed, but she helps bring it forth. But the weight of truth. The breaking of the mental strongholds. Abimelech's head. The mind, the millstone, the force that breaks delusion. That's a good one, because that's where he was up under some real delusion. This is breaking up mental strongholds. The weight of truth drops suddenly and crushes lies. That's what the millstone symbolizes. Woman with a household tool, a warrior soldier. I wish this thing would land so I could kill it. Come on now. Okay. The way the truth drops suddenly and crushes lies. The one with the household tool. The breaking of the mental strongholds. Abimelech's head, the mind. That's, the millstone, the force that breaks his illusion. The collapse of the narcissistic structures. Abimelech is a narcissistic ruler. The millstone represents the shattering of manipulation, the end of gaslighting, and the collapse of ego-driven leadership. The power of the overlooked. A woman's society ignored becomes the agent of justice. Physical meaning, a crushing force. The millstone represents unstoppable force, the weight, impact, and finality. The body remembering trauma. Abimelech's skull is crushed where his father's trauma lived while in his head. Okay. The physical end of a spiritual problem. Sometimes spiritual issues manifest physically. Yes, they can. Financially and economically, meaning millstones were tools of provision, survival, and daily bread, economic stability. So the millstone symbolizes the economy turning against corrupt leadership. The tool of provision becomes a tool of judgment. The poor overthrowing the powerful. A household tool defeats a king. The collapse of unjust economic systems. Abimelech was funded by Baal-Ber's temple. The millstone represents the end of corrupt funding streams. Remember, that is so important. This is why, although we're supposed to be here and, not of here, having income that is overflowing, blessed to be a blessing, is a big deal. Why? Because you are able to help, those who are less fortunate than you. But the issue with that is a lot of the ones who have it don't want to do the help. And the ones who don't have it, if they had it, they would. And that becomes a problem. So that is going to be where God is going to do the wealth transfer. Why? Because the transfer from the evil and wicked that they stole from the righteous, that's what that's all about. Why? Because that has to happen. So lineage and generational meaning, this is the deepest layer. The millstone ends Gideon's generational curse. Gideon's mixture, Abimelech's rise, the millstone ends the cycle. The feminine restores what the masculine broke, of course. Okay. The crushing of inherited trauma. Abimelech was the embodiment of Gideon's unhealed wounds. The millstone crushes the head, the generational curse. The nameless woman equals the hidden intercessor. She represents the unseen, the overlooked, the intercessor, the mother, the grandfather, the mother, the woman who breaks the cycles quietly. The millstone, generationally grinding. Processing, healing, and transformation. The millstone is a tool of generational processing. Good and bad sides. The good is justice, deliverance, and exposure. In the false leadership, restoration and order, empowerment of the overlooked. The bad is the crushing judgment, the violent end, and the symbol of consequences. Represent what happens when trauma is not healed. Modern community equivalent is the millstone, represents a woman who ends a destructive man's reign, a mother, grandmother, young woman who calls the police, exposes abuse, breaks the silence, protects the children, ends the cycle. Against all odds, and everybody who wants to lie, steal, kill, destroy, and hide it. A community tool used to justice something ordinary becomes a turning point. A phone recording, a testimony, a report, a witness, a grandmother's prayer. This is what happens. The collapse of corrupt leaders. When a leader built on ego is taken down by the truth. And this is what needs to be happening. Why? Because as long as these folks is in power, this is what's going to continue to go on. A millstone as a prophetic pattern. It crushes the head of authority, crush removing illegitimate rule. It comes from above. Divine judgment comes from above, not from the ground. It is dropped by a woman. God uses the unexpected. It ends the story. The millstone is the final act. Now, okay, let me see. Okay, the prophecy of the trees. I was thinking about that. Okay. Blessing. Okay, Mount Gerizim is the mountain of blessing. But he, on that mountain, he spoke a curse. This was intentional. He is saying you chose the curse instead of the blessing. That was a prophecy mirror of Israel's leadership crisis that was back when God said choose ye this day in Deuteronomy. So the olive tree was the anointed leader. The meaning of the olive tree is the oil, anointing, priesthood, healing, and light. Prophetic meaning the olive tree says, I will not leave my oil to rule over you. This means anointed leader refused the throne. The one with the true calling declines political power. The priestly leader stays in his lane. Exactly. Lineage meaning when the anointed refuse leadership, the unworthy will rise. This means the person with the real calling refuses the leadership because of fear, trauma, exhaustion, insecurity, and the wrong person steps in. The fig tree, the sweet leader, meaning the fig tree, sweetness, nourishment, stability, covenant, blessing. Prophetic meaning the fig tree say, should I leave my sweetness to rule over you? This means nurturing leader refuses the throne. The one who brings emotional stability declines leadership. The caregiver stays in the background. Lineage meaning when the sweet, stable one refuses leadership, chaos arises. The emotionally healthy people don't want the drama of leadership. So the unstable ones take over. Wow. You know what? That has a lot of... The vine, the joyful leader, meaning of the vine. The wine, the joy, the celebration, the covenant. Prophetic meaning, the vine says, should I leave my wine to rule over you? This means the joyful life-giving leader refuses the throne. The one who brings joy and unity declines leadership. The celebratory leader stays in their lane. Lineage meaning when joy refuses to lead, sorrow takes the throne. Wow. The equivalent, community builders, the joyful ones, the unifiers, they don't want power, so the destroyers take it. The bramble and Abimelech. Meaning of the bramble. Thorn bush, no fruit, no shade, no nourishment, fire hazard. Prophetic meaning, the bramble says, come take refuge in my shade, or fire will come out of me and devour you. This is Abimelech. Spiritual meaning is false covering, false authority. Leadership rooted in insecurity, a ruler who destroys everything he touches. Lineage meaning, when the anointed, sweet, and joyful refuse leadership, the bramble arises. A destructive leader who offers protection he cannot give, threatens violence, burns the community that empowered him. The curse that Jotham releases is Jotham curse has two parts. If you acted unjustly, if Shechem crowned Abimelech in wickedness, which they did, then the fire would come out of Abimelech and devour Shechem, which it did. And the fire will, and that's exactly what happened. This is a mutual destruction curse. How the curse unfolds exactly, God sends an evil spirit. Abimelech and Shechem turn on each other. Shechem rebels. The people who crown him now betray him. Abimelech burns Shechem. He sets the tower on fire. The fire comes out of Abimelech. A woman kills Abimelech. A milestone crushes his head. The fire comes out of Shechem. The people he oppressed. God repays both sides. The curse is complete. The lineage and generational meaning to this is Gideon's refusal to lead. Abimelech rose. Gideon said, I will not rule over you. Right? This opened the door for the bramble. Gideon's mixture. Abimelech's voice. The ephod created idolatry. The idolatry created instability. And the instability created Abimelech. Right. Abimelech's identity, wound, murderer. His name means my father is king, but Gideon refused kingship. So this created identity confusion, resentment, ambition, and violence. It is what it is. Shechem's compromise, destruction. They chose a leader based on familiarity, not righteousness. The curse equals generational consequences. The entire chapter is a lineage correction. Modern day community equivalent. The trees, the anointed leader who refuses. The fig tree, the emotionally healthy leader who refuses. The joyful leader who refuses. The bramble is a destructive leader who refuses because the right leader stepped back. The curse, the community empowers the wrong leader. The leader destroys the community. The community destroys the leader, and everyone loses. This is the cycle of corrupt politics, gang leadership, dysfunctional nonprofits, broken family systems. Whew, doesn't that just about sums it up? One sentence summary. Each tree has a psychological... Okay, the prophecy of the trees reveals that when the anointed, sweet, joyful refuse leadership, the bramble rises, and the curse is the bramble and the community that empowered it will destroy each other. So, we look at all of these. Okay, I wanted to know what it says when God sends the Spirit. So we don't misunderstood Spirit action in the Scripture. One of the clearest, when the Bible says God sends the Spirit, it is not random, not chaotic, not demonic possession. It is a judicial, measured, covenantal, and purposeful. Below is a deep layer breakdown of what it means when God sends the Spirit, spiritually, emotionally, generationally, and prophetically. So when God sends the Spirit, God sent an evil spirit between Abimelech and the men of Shechem. This is not God becoming evil. This is God using spiritual forces to execute justice. This is what he uses the devil for. Let's break it down. God sending a spirit equals divine judgment, not divine evil. God does not create evil, but he releases it or permits it as a destructive spirit to operate as judgment. Think of it like this. God removes his protective barrier. The spirit that was already waiting gains access. The spirit's assignment is to expose, divide, and or destroy wickedness. This is judicial, not chaotic. God sends a spirit when a community makes a covenant with evil. Shechem founded Abimelech with Balber's money, crowned the murderer, betrayed Gideon's house, empowered a narcissistic ruler. When a community chooses darkness, God lets the darkness judge and rule. This is Romans 1 energy. God gave them over to what they want. Reprobate minds, all of that. This is what happens to us, and we wonder why we end up where we are. This is how. God sends the spirit to expose what is hidden. The evil spirit did not create the division. It revealed the division that was already there. Pay attention. Abimelech was insecure, violent, paranoid, and power hungry. Shechem was manipulative, optimistic, and disloyal. The spirit simply brought the truth to the surface, and this is why you gotta pay attention when people tell you and show you who they are. Because once it is revealed, it is revealed. God sends the spirit to turn evil against itself. This is the key. The spirit's assignment was not to attack the righteous, not to harm the innocent, but to make Abimelech and Shechem destroy each other. This fulfills Jotham's prophecy. Fire will come out of Abimelech and devour Shechem. Fire will come out of Shechem and devour Abimelech. And the spirit activates the curse. The mental and emotional meaning: when God sends the spirit of division, confusion, and agitation. Alliances break. Yep. Hidden motives certain. Yep. Manipulation collapses. Yep. Narcissistic systems implode. Yep. And the wicked turn on each other. Yep. This is not mental illness. It is a spiritual exposure. Ooh, won't them manipulative motives and incentives and hidden agendas come on out. Highly sin the spirit. Physical meaning: that's why when he directs you, rejects you from people, places, things, take them away, leave them where they at. He done seen and heard certain things they done said and did, and it was behind your back, and it was to your downfall. Physical meaning: the spirit manifests physically through conflict, betrayal, violence, collapse of structures, destruction of towers, downfall of leaders. The physical events are the visible expressions of the invisible judgment. Right, because that stuff was there all along. We just didn't see it. Financial meaning: the spirit disrupts corrupt funding, unjust economies, exploitative systems, alliances built on money and not righteousness. Whoo, won't he do it? Shechem funded Abimelech with Balber silver. The spirit burned the economy that empowered the evil. Whoo, hey, and then he ended up destroying it all in the end. Won't he do it? Halle took the evil, wicked thing they wanted for you and made it for your good. Lineage and generational meaning: this is the deepest layer. Gideon's mixture, Abimelech's rise. Gideon's ephod created idolatry. Idolatry created the instability. Right, the instability created Abimelech. Abimelech's murder. Okay, we done did this. He killed his brothers and the blood cries. They crowned the murderer. The spirit ends with curse by destroying Abimelech, destroying Shechem, and restoring divine order. This is a lineage of justice. Now, how we break this down in communities: send the spirit today. Corrupt alliances collapsing, gangs turning on each other, political machines imploding, abusive leaders exposed, institutions falling apart, hidden agendas surfacing, communities waking up. Is God letting evil devour itself so the community can heal? Ooh, maybe. Is that why we in war? Because God is showing us who's who and what's what in this world? Are we paying attention? Are we paying attention? Okay, I think that's it because, honey, I think this has been about an hour. Oh, Lord. Oh, he sent plenty of spirits. He sent spirits. And then, there's a difference between Satan attacking and a spirit being sent. Ooh, when God sends a spirit, it targets the wicked, not the righteous. It exposes corruption. It fulfills prophecy. It collapses evil alliances. It ends cycles of injustice. It is measured, precise, and surgical. It is judgment, not warfare. When Satan attacks, it targets the righteous. This is the difference. It seeks to steal, kill, and destroy. It creates confusion, fear, and despair. It is chaotic, random, and destructive. It is warfare, not judgment. Key different. God's spirit brings judgment. Satan's spirit brings destruction. Every place in scripture where God sends a spirit, here are the major ones. Judges 9:23, evil spirit of division. Purpose: to make Abimelech and Shechem destroy each other. To fulfill Jotham's curse and to end the generational curse. 1 Samuel 16:14, distressing spirit on Saul. The purpose was to expose Saul's disobedience. To transition leadership to David and to remove a corrupt king. First Kings 22:19-23, a lying spirit in the mouths of the prophets. Ooh, purpose to judge King Ahab, to expose false prophets, and to bring down a wicked regime. Isaiah 19:14, spirit of confusion on Egypt. Purpose was to collapse a corrupt empire, to expose false wisdom, and to humble a nation. Psalms 78:49, a band of destroying angels. Purpose to judge Egypt, to break oppression, to free Israel. Ezekiel 14:9, God deceiving a false prophet. Purpose to expose false prophecy, to judge idolatry, to protect the people. 2 Thessalonians 2:11, strong delusion. Purpose, the spirit of strong delusion, to judge those who reject truth, to expose rebellion, to separate wheat from tares. How to discern judgment versus warfare. A sign, it is judgment. God sending a spirit. Wicked alliances collapse. Corrupt leaders turn to each other. Evil destroys itself. Prophecy is fulfilled. The righteous are protected, and the outcome is justice. Signs that it is warfare. Satan attacking. The righteous are targeted. Confusion hits the innocent. Fear, despair, and paralysis. No prophecy connected. No justice produced. The outcome is destruction. The key question, does this collapse expose evil or harm in the righteous? If it exposes evil, it is judgment. If it harms the righteous, it is warfare. How this applies to us. Okay, this is where it gets personal. Jotham voice, we speak from the mountain of blessing to expose the curse. We are called to interpret spiritual collapse. What we see, why alliances break, why systems implode, why leaders fall, why communities turn on each other. We don't see chaos, we see patterns. We are called to break generational bramble leadership. Our calling is to expose false leaders, dismantle narcissistic structures, break cycles of manipulation, restore righteous leaderships. We were called to identify when God is judging a system. We can discern this is warfare, this is judgment, this is exposure, this is generational correction. We are called to help communities interpret collapse. When a corrupt leader falls, when a nonprofit implodes, when a gang turns inward, when political machine collapses, we can say this is God sending a spirit to end the cycle. But if we are called to protect the remnant, like Jotham, we will survive what others won't. We will speak truth, others won't. We survive what others don't. We will speak truth, others won't. We see patterns others can't, and warn communities before collapse. Woo! One sentence summary. When God sends the spirit, he is not causing evil. He is releasing judgment that exposes, divides, and destroys wickedness so a generational curse can end. Oh, well, praise the Lord. Thank you, Jesus, and hallelujah for that. So these are the things that we need to be looking at. I wanted to look at the souls with salt. Well, you could look that up yourself in Thebez, because this was kind of long. I didn't want to continue on because we are already an hour look like in, and honey, I have held you people long enough, but the information was wonderful. Now, souls of salt, I know salt has a meaning that it could be good and bad. Is the light. It does two different functions. And when he sold salt to the city. That's what he did. I wanted to see that. Could have been a destructive attack at the beds. Why he attacked at the beds, I wasn't really sure, but we can look that up, because these are things that we should be looking up on our own, because we're nosy. We want to know what God is saying, what he's doing, and why, and we want to look through the Bible and not through all this other rhetoric to find it out. So we want to pick it apart. What happened, why it happened, when, how, who was the players, all of that. And once we look at that, who, what, when, where, why, and how, we will get to the bottom of what exactly God is trying to tell us and show us. Because if we do not understand, we need to be trying to understand. We perish for lack of knowledge. That's what he says. Now, all of this is pointing back to the refreshment of what we were talking about in the beginning, because all of it is refreshing to hear, to see, to know, and to understand. God is showing us. So even when we feel like we are failing, or we don't understand, and we don't know, in confusion, this is where it breaks it down. He lets us see and hear and know, so that we can what? When we seek, we shall find. We seek, we knock, and we shall find. We're seeking and knocking to find. We want to understand. We want to know what God is telling us and showing us each and every day of our lives, and the areas we need to work on. If it's, that, if we see the mirroring, in our own lives and in our own families, how to correct it, how to be aware of it, how to avoid it, how to work around it, whatever we need to do. But I want to share you guys this stupid lash. And I have this little stupid, it's like a little gnat, and I need to kill it because it's annoying. I really think when I get ready to do videos, everything that could possibly aggravate and annoy me starts coming out. Oh, I gotta take this thing off, but anyway. Starts coming out whether I'm here at work. But they just started playing their music. Let me go. It's like, I be saying to myself, I be trying to find the right time And it be's hard, y'all. I'm gonna tell you. But I be trying to work, and y'all see my little haircut. Honey, I done went and got my little hair. I had to do it because I'm sick and tired. Woo. It's summertime. I know what I was doing with this headline, this stupid thing. Okay, I'm gonna let this video go. We are bruised and not broken. That was Judges chapter 9, and I hope this was a blessing to you. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. As you can see, I'm messing with this eye now because it's starting to annoy me. But anyway, y'all don't mind me. I'm gonna let this one go. I hope this was a blessing to you guys. It was to me. My Cash App, I think, is linked in the bio. God is still my provider all day, every day. I do not depend on people, places, and things. God is my provider. He always has been. It always will be. But anyway, if you would like to donate to the channel, you can. I don't require or make you, force you to. But other than that, like I said, I hope that this was a blessing to you guys. It was a blessing to me. Be blessed in the name of Jesus. Like, bruised not broken. Love you guys later. And until the next one.